me this time, I swear it.
Ghostbusters the video game was developed by Terminal Reality and originally released in 2009. Last week, Saber Interactive and Mad Dog Games published a high-resolution remaster of the original 2009 classic, so if you missed out on this game the first time around or just wanted an excuse to play through the greatest Ghostbusters game ever made again, now's as good a time as any. You can get it for $30 on PC or any of the modern systems. I know I don't normally talk about modern games on this channel, but the original is over 10 years old, so that's almost retro enough, right? Plus, I mean, it's Halloween season and it's the Ghostbusters. What's not to love? Ghostbusters the video game is basically a love letter to Ghostbusters fans and features most of the original cast reprising their roles. Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis are all here along with a lot of the supporting cast. Annie Potts as Janine. They even tracked down quintessential 80s douchebag William Atherton.
No, no, no! I want the Ghostbusters ejected from this facility immediately!
Where's his honor, Pecker? We've got news for him and a photo op.
Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd helped write the story, which picks up a few years after the events of Ghostbusters 2. For everyone that was disappointed you never got a true Ghostbusters 3, well, this is it. So you play as a rookie Ghostbuster who just joined the team. You don't even get a name or have any dialogue, and really that's probably how it should be. The Ghostbusters hired you to help test out some new equipment, but it wasn't long before all hell breaks loose and you're swept away on a ghost-busting adventure. The way this plays out, it's like you're just tagging along with the Ghostbusters on the job, and that's what makes this game so much fun. It's like you're just playing along with a movie in real time. The writing and script are all mostly on point too, complete with all the over-the-top nonsensical technobabble that you'd expect to hear between Dr. Ray Stantz and Egon Spengler.
A mandala is like a spiritual labyrinth.
And this one looks like a spiraling system that feeds into each successive node along the line until it reaches a culmination point.
But with just the right amount of dry humor from Peter Venkman and Winston Zeddemore too. There's plenty of laugh-out-loud moments in this game.
Why does this always happen to me? I meet a girl, she's crazy about me, but she always turns out to be some kind of unbelievable fixer-upper.
There's fully rendered cutscenes which are impressive even today. The multitude of colors they chose all look just awesome. The cutscenes which are rendered with the in-game engine are, not so much impressive. They definitely show their age, and there's some lip sync issues which just shouldn't be happening. The gameplay is where this game really shines though, specifically the Proton Pack. This plays as a third-person over-the-shoulder shooter of sorts. You're following along with the other Ghostbusters on each mission, and you get your very own Proton Pack. In a creative twist, the Proton Pack actually acts as your heads-up display for the game. There's markers showing your character's health and stuff, but more importantly, this really is the Ghostbusters Proton Pack, recreated in painstaking detail. From the moment this unlicensed nuclear accelerator springs to life, the sounds are spot on. They just freaking nailed this. You can fire a beam and it twists and bends just like in the movie. It can even damage walls and inanimate objects lying around. Catching ghosts involves firing a standard beam at the ghost long enough to weaken it, then you toss a trap on the ground, fire a containment stream, and wrangle the ghost down into the trap.
Spectacular!
Proton Pack controls are just seamless, although sometimes the ghosts are a little tougher to handle, and it may take several tries to get them into the trap. Thankfully, there's all sorts of upgrades. You can pick up a few upgrades for the trap to make catching the ghosts smoother, and there's other cool upgrades too that are helpful for different situations. You eventually get the Slime Cannon add-on, similar to Ghostbusters 2. The only thing I wasn't a fan of was the Slime Tether. They tried to add a puzzle element to this game, and the Slime Tether is a big part of that. You can fire a rope made of slime and attach both ends of it to various items in the environment. Oftentimes you'll have to open a door or move some object around by using the slime tether, and it's just kind of tedious. It's tough to aim and just kind of slows down the action. You'll have to stop ever so often and solve some puzzle before you can proceed, and really I could pass on all the puzzles in this game. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but sometimes you'll be stuck in a dead end looking around and it's just not always apparent what you're supposed to do to open up the next part of the level or trigger the next cutscene. I don't know, it's like they try to do God of War Light or something. Overall, the story of this game is tons of fun. The first act actually has some really great callbacks to the original movies, specifically the first film.
He's been slimed! Again! Hustle over here and help him up, will you?
How did this even happen? I was covering the elevators!
If you always wanted to try to catch Slimer in the Sedgwick Hotel, or battle the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, you'll get your chance. Only these elements are expanded upon in a way you could only do in a video game. Even the Gray Lady from the first Ghostbusters movie makes an appearance here. Remember the first ghost from the library that the guys tried to catch? You know, get her. Turns out Ray's been trying to catch the Gray Lady ever since. Tracking the library ghost and trying to catch her is a really big deal in this game. You even find out some insane over-the-top backstory about her that I don't want to spoil here. All I'll say is when you finally do battle with her, she's almost more powerful than the final boss of the game. Anyway, I really don't want to say too much else about the story other than there are plenty of references to Gozer and other elements of the Ghostbusters mythology. It's just like playing through a 6-hour Ghostbusters movie, and it's awesome. Getting back to the gameplay, it's not just catching ghosts and trapping them, there's a real horror element to this as well. Sometimes objects levitate off the ground or fly all over the place. There's all sorts of well-placed jump scares to keep you on the edge of your seat. Sometimes the environment starts to bleed in with the ghost world, or you end up crossing over into other dimensions entirely. If this game were just running around catching ghosts, it could have gotten monotonous really quick, but the levels are each just different enough to where it never feels repetitive. A big part of exploring these levels also involves putting on the Ghostbuster goggles and using your PKE meter. It's really cool how they incorporated this element from the movies into the gameplay. You can use your PKE meter to track and scan ghosts, but it also flashes blue if there's a cursed artifact nearby. Once you find an item or scan a ghost, you can read a detailed backstory about it. Sometimes it's just little funny stuff like finding these haunted disco pants, but then also you'll get some detailed backstories about some of the ghosts that you encounter along the way. If you're into the Ghostbusters mythology at all, you won't be disappointed as these really add to the whole wacky universe that they've created. Also, once you find a cursed artifact, it will appear back at Ghostbusters HQ. Did I mention you'd get to just walk around Ghostbusters HQ in between missions? Their iconic firehouse headquarters is recreated in loving detail, and you could spend an hour just walking around checking stuff out. You can listen in on Janine taking phone calls from customers, or listen to some of the whacked out messages people leave on the Ghostbusters answering machine.
Oh, you're too busy, huh?
Please call me back now! Outside my window I see multiple ghosts in my garbage! They look like hobos!
And there's all sorts of other Easter eggs from the previous films too. The Vigo painting from Ghostbusters 2 is just sitting off to the side, and they even got Max von Sydow to do the voice again. You can actually just walk up and talk to him. Sometimes he says normal creepy Vigo stuff, and sometimes he's just silly.
Please stop burning the microwave popcorn.
Again, this all just adds to the immersion factor and really makes it feel like you're in the movie, hanging out with the Ghostbusters. And then there's the music. They basically got the entire soundtrack from the first Ghostbusters movie, and it's heavily utilized throughout the game. For the most part, the musical cues hit all the right notes. You'll get all the Ghostbusters feels when Ray Parker Jr. fires up. However, I do have to admit that some of the tracks start to get old after a while. They basically took 2 hours worth of tracks and spread it out over a 6 to 8 hour game, and there's only so many times that you can hear Again, not a deal breaker or anything. Seriously, I could gripe about a few other things, like the control scheme for dodging is kind of wonkers. You gotta remember, this was 2009. They really hadn't figured out duck and cover mechanics in third-person shooters yet. You can't even strafe, you just do this little sidestep maneuver and it sorta works. But who cares? This game is ridiculously fun. Seriously, if you're a fan of Ghostbusters at all, you owe it to yourself to play through this game at least one time. It's so great to see all these characters come alive one more time, and it's especially more meaningful now that Harold Ramis has passed on. They even added a special dedication in the opening credits. The callbacks to the originals hit just the right notes, but this stands on its own as a proper Ghostbusters sequel too. Given all the other Ghostbusters games we had to work with up to this point, this was by far the greatest Ghostbusters game ever made, and probably the best one there ever will be too. I had a blast playing through this one 10 years ago, and it was really cool to see it get a 2019 facelift. What did you think? Did you play this when it first came out, or will you pick up the remastered version? I'd love to hear about some of your memories playing through this one as well. As always, thank you for watching. Please, don't text and drive, and I'll see you next time on Friday Night Arcade.